Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're here for another Monday mini-sode.
That's right. Our Monday minis are the shorter YouTube exclusive episodes that we do. And these are typically 10, 15 minutes or so. And we talk about a specific reselling topic that maybe you care about or is kind of important in the reselling world at the moment. But if you like this kind of content, make sure you follow us on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button, or anywhere you listen to your podcast, because every Wednesday we drop a hour plus episode where we talk about all kinds of stuff reselling related. We are the number one reselling podcast in the world. So make sure to follow and listen to the podcast. But today we're going to be talking about something that I think we all care about, and that is shipping tips. And these tips we're going to be talking about today are going to be some ones that are often overlooked, ones that people maybe don't think about on a regular basis. So Orlando, go ahead and start us off here with the first shipping tip.
So this episode's I think, reach both new sellers and people have been selling for a while. And sometimes we need reminders. This first one, though, about shipping policies, you don't know about shipping policies unless you've been reselling on eBay for a while. So usually if you're brand new, you might do sell similar, or you may create a new listing, which I don't advise. I strongly advise you do sell similar or click on sell one like this and use all the items that they have, the item specifics, the title and all that. And we have a whole episode talking about how to do that. But shipping policies is where you go to my eBay, you go to account, and then on the left, you go to business policies. This is all on the desktop. And what you can do is you can create shipping policies for different things that you ship out, right? So if, for example, I used to sell a lot of shoes. And my shipping policy is for shoes. I title it priority medium flat. And I charge, I know some people might disagree, but I charge $14. Okay. And the flat rate box is a little bit more than that sometimes. And it's the flat rate. But what I do is every time I list a shoe, I just pick that one. Right. And then I have another shipping policy I created, and it's USPS Ground Advantage paid. And I charge $4 all the time. And I don't do calculated shipping on that because I find that, free shipping, eBay still likes it. Buyers still like free shipping, but I can't do free shipping. But I can do a $4 shipping, which is sometimes it costs me $6 to ship an item, or sometimes $7 on USPS Ground Advantage, but I have that policy in place. So it makes my listing a lot easier. And I'll explain a little bit later why it makes it easier. But if there's ever a time, let's say, right now on January 21st, the post office is raising shipping costs. And so if you have calculated, you got to figure out what you're going to do to change the prices on that per listing if you don't have shipping policies. But if you have shipping policies, all you have to do is go into your shipping policy and just change how much you're charging, and it makes it a lot easier. So if you haven't looked into shipping policies, go to my eBay, go to account, go to business policies, and you can have business policies for returns. You can have business policies for shipping and payment, and then just create a bunch of shipping policies. I have about 8 that I go to. Just to help people out, I do one that's USPS Ground Advantage paid, USPS Ground Advantage free. I created one that was for big items. I call it big items, and all those go USPS Ground, and that's, not USPS, UPS Ground, and I have calculated shipping on that. And then I have big items free if there's ever an item that I, in order to be competitive with other sellers, because everybody's selling it with free shipping, I just choose that one instead of having to go through the rigmarole of having to insert everything in there. So that's one thing to think about. Now, Have you been up on this next one?
Yeah. No, for sure. So the next one we're going to talk about is making sure that your dimensions are accurate, specifically for international sales. Now, here's the thing. I used to not care when I would do like a sell similar. I would usually not care to change the dimensions that were in there, because I never knew. Like when I first started, I was like, I don't know what size box I'm going to use for this item. Like, who knows? Like, maybe I could guesstimate. I could estimate how much it was going to be. Guesstimate. I could kind of guess, but I didn't always know for sure. All my boxes were I kind of found. I didn't have like specific sizes. I wasn't buying the 8x8x8 box from eBay and all of those. at that point. So a lot of the items, I just didn't care like what was in there, because I would do, I would kind of estimate, or I was doing like free shipping or calculate or a flat rate. So I knew like, I'm just going to charge $14.99 for shipping, and maybe I lose $1, maybe I make a couple bucks, but I know that's about what it's going to cost me to ship this. Here's the problem with doing something like that. Just today I listed an item, and if I wouldn't have changed it, it said that it was 14 by 14 by 14 and however much, like 3 pounds or 4 pounds or something. But the reality is that it could have probably fit in a 2 by 4 by 6 box. Okay. So if I had it in there as a 14 by 14 by 14, that is going to be a very different price that people on the international side are going to be seeing, because they're going to be paying, whether or not you're trying to do flat rate or whatever, it's going to be calculating in those dimensions on the box for them to have to pay shipping. So an item that might only cost them $60 to ship, and maybe that's worth it. If you put a 14 by 14 by 14, that might all of a sudden be like $260 to ship or something. And they might have no plan of buying it at that price. So the more accurate you can be, the more likely you're going to be able to get those sales internationally. And I'm not 100% sure. We've kind of talked about this in the past. I don't know what happens if it's the other way. Like if you say this is only 1 pound and it's in a 4 by 4 by 4 and it ends up being 10 pounds and something much bigger, like how is that calculated afterwards? Do you get stuck? I don't know. I haven't ran into that. So I don't know.
I've had it happen. I mean, I've had it happen where I don't know, for a reason I put something 5 pounds shipping and then ended up being like 20 pounds. But luckily, I only had to ship it within California to one of the international hubs. I don't know what happens. Like, does eBay just eat the cost? Who knows? But yeah, just make sure you're accurate, because I've had some sales where people are like, hey, I would have bought this hat, but it's cost me $100 to ship to Australia. And then I look and it's like, oh yeah, my dimensions were off. And luckily they contacted me. Think about how many people haven't contacted you, and you might have missed it on sales, or maybe don't think about that. All right, now, I do encourage a lot of people to use flat rate. I know everybody, there's a divide in reselling, right? Some people are team calculated, some are team flat rate. There's 2 reasons I like flat rate. One is it keeps you more competitive. So for example, if you have an item that you can fit in a padded priority, right? But it weighs maybe, 20 pounds, and you do calculated, it's going to cost way more to ship that item. And so people go to your listing and they're saying, oh, I'll buy this. But then they look at the shipping and it's calculated and it's, let's say a $30 shipping. But if you had flat rate, which would have done the same job, and it was $8, you would have had that sale. At the same time, it also helps you on the other end. So for example, let's go to cowboy boots. Okay. I just sold a pair of cowboy boots and it was actually somebody in Idaho. So Idaho to California is not that far. Now, my flat rate shipping cost for the buyer is $13, right? Did I see 13, 14? One of those, okay? Now, that's automatically what the buyer is going to pay. So if I sold to somebody in Florida, I'm still okay, because that's about how much it costs to ship out a medium flat rate. But if it's going to Idaho, I can actually ship it in a non-flat rate box, a 12 by 12 by 8 large priority box, for about $8 or $9. So I end up making money on the shipping. And so what I find with flat rate shipping is, one, it protects you from losing sales, because people are still willing to buy. For example, Puerto Rico is one of those places where if you do calculated shipping, you may not get a lot of sales to Puerto Rico, because calculated shipping costs a lot to Puerto Rico. And the only things that really go over there is priority. But if you do flat rate, you may get more people buying flat rate, because, it's a set price.
Yeah,
and
but then you might get stuck with the extra cost, right? Like if it costs you more to ship it to Puerto Rico, if you only charge $8.99 because you're like, oh, that's about what it normally costs, you might get stuck with a $25, $30 shipping on an item.
No. That's but what I'm saying is, no, that is true. And then in the early days,
so you're getting the sale. You're getting the sale, but you don't want that.
But what I'm
shipping.
saying is, if it can fit in a medium flat rate box.
Oh, right, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Go down the medium flat rate box, then getting a box that's the size of the medium flat rate and doing calculated, because that person for Puerto Rico is going to go with the person that does the flat rate and does the calculated. Now, yeah, obviously, yeah, I've had it where an item was going to cost like $100 to ship to Puerto Rico, and I had to cancel the sale because the item was only worth like $40. So yeah, definitely got to be smart about that.
All right. So our next one comes with another area that can maybe be considered gray for some people, not always, but you want to check all of your options when you finally get a sale. So you might have set something. I don't always pay a ton of attention when I'm selling something, whether I've got it set for USPS or FedEx or UPS, because you just never know when it sells what region it's going to go to, with what the price is actually going to end up being. Sometimes certain items, USPS ends up being cheaper. Sometimes going through pirate ship, USPS is the cheapest route, but sometimes FedEx or UPS ends up being significantly cheaper and might even arrive quicker. So a customer might have selected, or it might have just been defaulted to USPS, I don't know, however many days to get there. And you can actually ship it through UPS or FedEx for about the same price or less, and it might get there a day or two sooner. And so it's a no-brainer because you save money, they save money, or they get their item sooner. The only time it can be an issue is there's some items, like if it's going to a military base or certain things like that. Maybe somebody has like a post office box, or if they have, like, I've had a couple of people tell me before, like, I can't get FedEx in my area. Like whoever does FedEx deliveries in this area, they're a moron. They can't find my address. I'll never buy anything FedEx. So if I didn't know that about a person and I shipped the item FedEx because I'm like, oh, that's the cheapest way to do it, you could end up with an upset customer. But my thing is, to me, it's such a small chance of that happening that it's oftentimes worth the risk to take. So it's been my practice to just select whatever's going to be the cheapest and quickest item cheapest for me and quickest for my customer.
Yep. Look at all the options, because again, you may think that, priority is the only way to go, but if you do FedEx home delivery, like if you're a top rated seller, sometimes I get like 60% discount, and it's only a day more to get there, and usually it gets there before that day. Now that goes along with the last one. This is the most controversial, and I leave it for last. So let me give you a scenario. Somebody buys something and it's priority shipping, right? But they bought it after my cutoff deadline on a Friday. That means I don't have to ship it out till Monday technically. But if I ship it out ground, I'll be able to, save 50% or save a ton of money on that item that I'm shipping out. So let's say it's something that, would have cost me $20 priority, but if I ship it ground, it only costs me $8. Now I have until Monday to ship it out, but what you can do if you do same day shipping or next day shipping, on that Friday after the cutoff point, you can actually, pack it up really quick and drop it off and ship it out UPS ground, make that money on that priority. And it's going to get there in just the same amount of time, because it wasn't expected that you were going to ship that item out till Monday, but you shipped it out Friday, and you already gave yourself a 3 to 4 day advantage on ground. And so it ends up being the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's so many like particulars of like when it works and when it doesn't work. But like, I'll give you an example. We had last weekend we had Monday off, Martin Luther King Day. And a couple of the items I recently listed, I had my listing set for 2 business days. I don't even know why it was set at that instead of 1 business day or same day. And so because of that, the item sold on a Thursday and they didn't have to go out until like the next Tuesday. Right. Because of that shipping time. And so again, same thing, like I could go with a cheaper, slower thing, because technically it's going to get to them faster potentially, or at the same time, because of the shipping situation. So hey, always be smart with, when you get those interesting situations that happen on a Friday, or it happens and you got extra time, you might be able to take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I did it that same weekend. I had a ton of items that sold around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Those already past my cutoff, and it said I didn't have to ship until Tuesday, right?
Yep.
So I ended up shipping all those things ground, and you got to be smart about that, because remember, UPS and FedEx aren't open on the weekends. But if you get it to them on Friday, like for me, I know if I get it before 5:30 to some of the FedEx and UPS stores, it's going to get on a truck and it's going to be shipping its way to its destination. And so it doesn't look like it's slower speed because you shipped out right away. So think about that sometimes, because, being expedient about things can work to your advantage. I look at it as like it's a bonus for you shipping it earlier and taking care of business earlier, and it ends up being profitable for you. So hopefully these shipping tips not to look over will be items that you won't look over, that you'll actually implement. And maybe it was a reminder for some of you, and for some of you, it was new. And with that being said, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling. Wait.
Peace.